The motto my whole life's been try or die. True. I'm just trying to glow up looking like a firefly.
2, 1. We're live. Hey guys, Frank and Jules podcast, episode number 18. Took a little bit of time off, but now we're back. No guests this week, but we got a lot to get into. I'm going to start off right off the bat with an experience I had today in the morning. I went to go get a bagel at Manhattan Bagel, and as I'm leaving the parking lot, I'm at a stop sign, and the other lady's at a stop sign to the right of me. So she stops, I stop. It's her turn to go. She's going really slow. I'm like, come on, go. She's going really slow through the stop sign, and then I like look at her and I see her reading something, and she's like almost looks like she's reading like a full blown book, like while she's driving. Like it's an old lady, and I'm like, wow, like what's going on right now, dude? Like I gotta get a closer look at this. So I end up pulling next to her, and she has like what looks like a manuscript, like the pages look like they were from like the 1870s, like they were like a different color page, like cursive writing, and she had like 3 or 4 of them in her hands as she was driving. So I'm like in the left lane now on the left side of her, and she starts driving through. We're going to green light, crossing Eisenhower Parkway, and all of a sudden she starts like veering into my lane with no blinker, and then she's like going to the left lane. She's going across the divide and then coming back to the right. And like I look at her again as I look, and I'm just like, what are you like? Why couldn't you wait to get home to do this? Like you're reading, like she had like multiple pages like spread out in her hands, like looking at like and it was all in cursive. I was like, what is going on? Like what are people doing, dude? Like at the end of the day, it's like it kind of reminds me of this. Like some people, obviously texting and driving is bad, but some people can do it and some people can't do it. And this is a person who can't multitask while they drive, and she was just continuing to go on, and I turned left and we went our separate ways. But I was just like, this could be a really major problem, because I never tried to read a full-blown book or like pages in front of me. It's not even like, it wasn't down here. It was like this. It was like up by your face. So it's like almost blocking the windshield. And I was like, what is going on with people these days, man?
Okay, man. Clearly you're living life wrong, man. You got to read and drive, baby.
Oh my God. It's like, yeah, I mean, like I knew a kid, funny story. I mean, it's funny now because he's okay. But he was driving his car, and like this speaks to my point where like you have people that obviously you see people text and drive, and some people can get away with it and like somehow, and they can drive somewhat all right, even though it's such a stupid thing to do. Yeah. But this kid, this story reminds me of like how bad some people can be. So he was driving his car on a 4-lane road, 2 lanes on the right, 2 lanes on the left, and he ends up just like looking at his radio, turning the dial, and somehow that ends up him into turning, like he goes all the way left and like smashes into like a curb on the left side of the road. Like think about it. You're down here looking, you're trying to turn their knob or whatever, like press your dial, and just completely off the road to the left crashes and like just totals his car. I'm just like, so we got people out there like that who just can't drive, man. You gotta, if you can't drive while you like change your radio station, then you probably shouldn't be like looking down at all for any reason. So when I saw this lady, I was like, this is gonna be a disaster. I was like, it was one of those moments where I wanted to reach out, like lower my window and yell, but I was like, I don't feel like this is. I don't know I don't know what that's gonna do. So I'll just I'll pass. I'll go, and someone will probably beep on the way up when they follow her down the other road. But I was just like, that's a crazy way to start the day. You see somebody reading a book while they're driving. Man.
That's funny.
Oh my God.
Definitely didn't have that experience this morning.
Yeah.
You see this light's like hitting me in the face. I'm trying to like adjust. Is it just like hitting me? I have no idea where it's going.
The sun's going down. I'll remove that. I'll get that. I'll throw that out, or I'll leave it in with the comic relief.
It's fine.
Yeah, everybody. The sun's in our face right now. We gotta fucking shit. Like can't dodge it. But yeah. Anyway, like we're trying to get back to sports a little bit. We've obviously had guests on most of the time, which is we love having that. But we came off a couple crazy events the last few weeks in sports, especially boxing. with Nate Robinson versus Jake Paul. One of the biggest circus boxing matches you'll probably ever see, and just something that didn't make sense to begin with, but it just blossomed from trolling and his YouTube popularity and just a lot of shit talking back and forth. So, I mean, what was your impression of just even the whole thing being set up? Do you think it was like a good idea prior to this even happening?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's Jake Paul versus the new NBA logo.
Yeah.
I thought, look, man, I think, I mean, Mike Tyson said it, that this could have helped the sport of boxing, which I think it could, right? For a sport that's had so many controversies, I think having the younger generation seeing it from a new perspective, I think it's good for the sport for the most part. I don't know, man. I think the fight, I mean, obviously Nate shouldn't be the representation for an athlete, right? So you got a great athlete, but has been training for 3 years. It kind of shows you, man, like it could be a thing. People paid for it. I think they both got like $600,000 for it. I think then Mike Tyson and his guy like got around like, was it like 10 million, I believe. So it did sell. So that only pushes the like YouTubers. I know like his brother Logan, I think he's now doing another fight with Floyd. So I mean, there's a market for this, right? So I think it can be good. I think the bad is if someone dies, but that's going like next level. I don't know, but I think it is good though.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, Nate Robinson, here's my takeaway. Like, I think he kind of just showed up thinking that this is just like some punk kid that I can probably mess up if I just like, I mean, I don't know. Cause he had like, those trainers that he had have to look themselves in the mirror. He's got to look himself in the mirror and be like, what did we do wrong? Cause we came into this like not prepared. Like he kind of looked like, he reminded me of like a World Star hip hop fight video, like where you run in, a guy's running in like he's on the street or like on the sidewalk. And there wasn't like, he kind of like walked into these shots that he was taking, you know what I'm saying? Like you can't, you ran up into him with the hands down. I mean, he was trying to be aggressive in the beginning, but like it just right off the bat, you could see that the skill wasn't there and just, this was going to be a disaster. And then like, was it the third, he gets knocked down 3 times. And then the last time obviously was like, I was watching it on my phone because I was watching UFC first on the TV and I just had it on the phone. And I was like, oh my God, like he just face hit hard, bounced off the canvas. And it was over. And I was just like, this, at the time, I was like, this is like one of the most embarrassing things of his life. But the after effect is he's a great athlete, just not a boxer. He's a great, I mean, not a great basketball player, but he's like, for his size, one of the most athletic basketball players probably ever. And he was a great football player in high school and college, I believe. So he has like that background and recognition. So, I mean, I think he'll dust it off. But just in the beginning, I was like, it's almost like I could feel his embarrassment when it happened. I was like, this is just – because for you to come in and you're like, I'm going to shock the world. And then Steph Curry's like, I see no lies afterwards on his Twitter. So, like – I mean,
he did shock the world.
He did shock it. Yeah. So, like – yeah, it just makes you, like, feel for him in that way because it seemed embarrassing. But – I mean, it just – yeah.
I mean, it's embarrassing he got knocked out. But at the same time, like, yes, we laugh at it. But at the same time, like he did step into the ring and do something that most people wouldn't do, right? So I give him credit for that. I think I forgot who was saying it, but apparently Nate Robinson, like he got into like a street fight and he had knocked someone out. So I think the joke was he probably felt like, oh, this is easy, right? And like Snoop Dogg says, man, you can't play boxing.
You cannot.
Yeah. And I don't know, man, but Jake's been practicing for a couple of years, man. He does, like, for whatever antics you might see him as, he actually takes this thing very seriously. Like he had a plan to like of 3 years, like ago, to like, you know, do this every day, practice and take on fights, right? So to your point, Nate's a phenomenal athlete, man. Like I'm not gonna lie, that guy he was playing 2 sports. I get it, but he probably a little bit of it probably said, all right, great athlete, how hard it would be to learn some things and knock a guy out who's a YouTube star. He probably was that confident that he could do that. And I think his trainers, based on how he got knocked out, didn't teach him any defense because the goal was probably like to just quickly knock him out and that's it. And clearly he learned no defense. Clearly. It was obvious.
Yeah, those trainers. I got to look up who actually. I mean, I think I tried to look it up one time. The only article I could find was like, I was trying to see if there's any aftermath. Did they question the trainers in the interview? Did they be like, "Hey, like what happened out there?" But it was like I think they basically listed them in this article, but that was before the fight happened, and they were just saying like, "Yeah, we're getting ready" and everything like that. But
I mean, it could have also been Nate just didn't listen to a damn thing they said. Right? It was his first fight, so
yeah.
You just kind of throw everything out the window, your first fight, and then he was probably just going off instincts at that point, right?
Yeah.
So that's where the experience comes into play, which he has none of. So I think he probably should have taken the fight and done this fight maybe next year. For a guy who's never fought, probably had at least a year to and do this fight, say next June or something like that. You may have had a better fight, but it is what it is. I think he now knows he can't just box anyone and beat anyone just off of athleticism. Yeah.
So we learned a lot about and we did learn some of the things about Jake Paul. I mean, like it's hard to gauge his skill, but I guess people in the industry like Joe Rogan and like people who know fighting say that he's got like real skill. I mean, you can tell that there are some things there. There's some tools there that he has. He's only 23 and he just needs to put those to the test against somebody who's maybe like more an actual fighter. Like, because the first fight with Anderson Gibb, I believe that was the YouTuber, right? The guy from England.
Mm-hmm.
I was like this. I mean, I watched that whole thing. It was a quick one, obviously, it was a second round TKO, but he just was like, he went in there and dominated that guy. That guy was like, looked better than Nate Robinson in some ways, but he didn't. Obviously, it's a YouTuber again. It's two YouTubers, so it's not any professional fighters that have any experience prior to that. So, but they have those fans that will watch it, so that's why they're able to make money with this one. But I think for the next one and all the lead up that we've been seeing with him and Conor McGregor and Dillon Danis, I don't think
you mean his brother, right?
Well, no, I mean Jake Paul is trying to fight Conor McGregor or Dillon Danis.
Conor.
Yeah, sorry, still on Jake.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
okay.
Sorry. Yeah, so Jake, so he's been like, obviously, I don't know, you probably saw that video of him going up to where Dillon Danis was filming a segment with Brendan Schaub's food truck. Where I was like, okay, somebody definitely told him where they were going to be, because he just like, how do you know in LA, like, oh, this guy, you just happen to know he's going to be there, and you have water balloons ready. Like you're throwing water balloons at a truck, and then you just like jet off before you get the chance to come close. It's like,
or it could have been staged, right?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I'm saying like either stage or somebody had to know, because that's too much of a coincidence that they knew where he was during the day. Like it's a big town. LA is a big city, so it's like there's an off chance you're gonna find somebody and you got water balloon. Something happened. Like somebody knew about that prior. But
what do you think of him calling his wife a whore?
Dude, that's not. He's going over the line a little bit, especially with a guy like Conor McGregor. I think I've even said this to people. I think that like he's got to watch himself with that, because I could see McGregor just like showing up and like beating the shit out of him somewhere on the street. Like I know, because obviously you see McGregor's running with the law, or people like fans trying to take a picture of him on their cell phone, and he like slaps out like that case he had. So I feel like he's like UFC fighters are definitely a lot of them are a different breed when it comes to like if you shit talk them and you're not somebody that's in the industry or not credible, even though, listen, I know Jake Paul is getting into boxing, but like you gotta think that, like, I mean, when you cross the line and you say something about someone's wife, calling them a whore and all that, I mean, Jake Paul, he's probably gonna have to watch his step. But if they do settle in the ring, obviously Conor McGregor would definitely take home a lot of money, the $50 million offer, if that's real. I mean, that'd be something to see. I mean, I'd watch it for sure. I mean, I just think that, I mean, off the bat, like, my opinion would be that Conor McGregor would win, because even though his boxing match with Floyd a couple of years back wasn't, it wasn't like, obviously, like people say Floyd wasn't trying that hard, whatever, you could say whatever you want, but he did go a while with Floyd in the ring, and like he hit him, he was able to land some shots in some ways. So like, I think maybe some of his shots would have a better effect on a guy like Jake Paul, who hasn't really felt like, I mean, has he felt power like from a shot? Not in those two boxing matches. So
So I mean, so with that, don't get me wrong, I think Floyd was toying with him. I'm not gonna lie to you. Floyd was obviously making it entertaining. But I will say that, yes, Conor McGregor is a professional. He's a professional athlete, professional fighter. He understands what it means to be in a cage and like having someone want to kill you. Like he understands that, right? But I think, to my knowledge, if I'm getting this correctly, he was like an amateur boxer earlier on in his career. So he does have like, it wasn't like he just put on the gloves for the first time, right? Like he has to obviously, he does mixed martial arts. So he has to know how to box. He has to know how to grapple. Like he has to know how to do different facets of different things, right? So I think as a professional, like he could at least protect himself, right? So that fight wasn't so like crazy, right? It's still a combat sport. So he, like, even though I knew he had no chance of winning, I didn't think he would be embarrassed. Like, that would never have happened to him, I don't think, right? So I think that's like the main difference. Nate just never, he's never been in a situation where like a guy's really trying to kill him. That's a fact.
Yeah.
And to literally trying to kill you for money, like that's just not going to happen. So I think it was just a different situation. I think right now, if you give, Conor has a fight coming up, so he's gonna probably do this boxing match, maybe potentially like a couple months after, right? Probably like early summer, train for that. And I think honestly, I don't know. I mean, I think it depends. I want to say Logan could win because he's a bigger guy, but I don't know, man. These UFC guys are a different breed, man. Like they get kneed in the face for a living. I think he can eat a punch. So I don't know.
Yeah. I don't think that Jake Paul is going to knock out Conor McGregor like he says.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
It's not happening. Yeah. I don't think. Yeah, I don't think that. I can't see that happening. If it did, it'd be insanely embarrassing, I guess.
If it did, it would his viewership will go up tenfold, man. It would be insane.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But I will say, like, he's at least taking it seriously. That is one thing I would say. It would be entertaining, like you said. I'd pay for it, like you said.
Yeah.
It would be entertaining.
Yeah, no, it's definitely true. And it kind of just bridges the gap into his brother Logan, who is going to fight Floyd Mayweather. And they already have, I can't believe, like, this is insane as well. But obviously Logan is a lot bigger. I think he's like at least 6'2", 6'3".
Yeah.
He has the size advantage.
Like 220 or something like that, 230. He's a big guy.
Yeah. So I don't know what the weight stipulations are going to be yet, but that's going to be, I can help him in that way. If they don't have a crazy like weight stipulation and Logan can be his 200 pounds or whatever in the ring, I mean, that'll help him obviously in that regard. But in terms of like skill, I mean, I just when this first came up, I was wondering why it wasn't Jake Paul, because Jake Paul has shown me more skill in the ring. I was like, why did they pick this brother? Like, because obviously he had he fought was it KSI?
Oh, KSI, yeah.
I didn't see the first one. I watched the full second fight where he lost. So the first one was a draw, and the second one, like he looks like he has the skills, but he seemed like he wasn't the aggressor, and like it was kind of a sloppy fight. KSI was coming in aggressive, but he landed more shots, and he ended up getting the victory, the unanimous decision. So, like Logan Paul, I can see he's athletic. Obviously, he was a wrestler in high school. Like he wrestled with Paulo Costa, the UFC fighter. Like apparently he was. There's film of him doing that, and he like held his own. So he has potential to as an athletic person. I just don't know how they came up with this and why. I mean, it is exhibition, so I guess it'll sort of be like the outcome where like I don't think you can knock anybody out like Tyson and Jones did. But we're gonna have to see, because listen, there's a lot of money at stake, but I just can't see this being that good of like. I just wish they would have. I wish it was somebody else fighting Floyd on a comeback fight. That's my opinion.
Well, I mean, for Floyd, this isn't a comeback fight at all. It's just an exhibition. So this is not. Yeah. This is not even.
Not the actual comeback, but just like we're coming out like your last fight. Your first fight in like 2 or 3 years to come back out of retirement, technically.
Well, he's still in retirement. This is literally strictly for just money.
But no, I think he's also planning on, like he said, he's also planning on like he said he was like, I'm coming out. Like I thought he was gonna fight like possibly like Pacquiao again or something like that. I thought there was talks. I mean, there were rumors about that. I don't know if that's true. But I just thought this was more than just that. I thought he was like gonna do this for money, but also on top of that, he's like coming back to fight somebody.
I think this is one of those things where Floyd has found a niche. People want him to lose or win so badly that they'll pay for anything. So I doubt he will fight another professional ever again. If this man can walk out and make $100 million fighting a YouTuber, he's going to be doing that for the next 10 years. Why not? Easy money.
Yeah.
You can't beat it, right? So I think the way it started was when Jake was training for the KSI, he was actually training with Floyd at his gym. I think that's how that relationship started. And I think I watched one of his YouTube videos where his agent had said, hey, Floyd's having some sort of a meetup type of thing on Zoom. You should hop on. So he hopped on, and I think that's how like the fight kind of happened, right? He was like, hey, Floyd, it would be funny if I fought you, blah, blah. And Floyd's like, who are you? And then he just started to like say some things. I think that's how like this happened. But at the end of the day, man, they came, if you think McGregor's going to get 50 million, Floyd's making at least 100 million, at least.
Yeah.
And he's going to promote the fight, do all that stuff. He's going to make so much more money that to him, there's no reason for him to ever fight a real fighter ever again. His career is cemented. This is like retirement money. Just every year he just fights a YouTuber. Every year and just makes millions. The easiest money you can ever make. I think that's probably where this is going to be. So you'll have like, to your earlier point about like YouTubers and them fighting, this is like the new thing, right? Like celebrity. It's like, remember that show on MTV, Celebrity Deathmatch, whatever?
Yeah.
It's like the same kind of thing, similar, right? Like you just have celebrities just fighting. Like it's like a new niche where you just fight on Twitch or whatever. And like just like a new way of like creating like new income streams. I think that's all it really is, because Floyd's really promoting fights, and he has more business endeavors that people don't really understand. I think he has like a massive real estate portfolio. Like I don't think he needs to fight again, but if someone is offering you $100 million to just knock out a YouTuber, you're going to do it. It's easy. Yeah. It's too easy to pass out.
Yeah. And I think like, I mean, this, like people always say this too. They're like, they kind of wonder, like, is he like losing money? Does Floyd need money? Because at times, like, you know, you see what he spends. I know he makes a lot because he has his own promotion company and everything, but there's times when that comes up because it's like, because you see his like car collection. There's like all white cars in the Vegas house. Like in the Atlanta house, it's all like black cars, but they're all like Rolls Royces, Bentleys, Ferraris. Like there's a lot of shit that he owns. So like I wonder sometimes, like is spending that crazy where he needs to like come back and do these things, or is it just to like either way, whatever. But I just wonder sometimes with his with his history, like does he spend way too much and does he need the money?
Hey man, I'm hearing this guy has like 7 skyscrapers in terms of real estate portfolios that like he's making income just off that alone. Like I don't know this guy's finances, but I'm gonna assume he's one of the few guys I can see that like I don't think he really needs the money. I don't think that's where it's coming from at all. I think it's like how everyone has different income streams or tries to. I think this is just one of them for him. We're like come out of retirement and just make 100 million quick fight. He's gonna train like he normally does. Probably train every day regardless. So it's like, all right, why not just go knock this guy out, make some money, great, come back again, go fight his brother next time. I don't know, fight another YouTuber and just make like YouTube. And that's the thing, like it goes to that story. Like YouTube is it's just changing the game in terms of you no longer need a platform like traditional ABC or whatever. You don't need normal cable networks, right? So if you can now promote things like fights and do all these things, you never have to go into the ring again. Like you can just market your own self and just fight and make money. Like that's easy. Yeah,
no, he's definitely on the right path. And he barely has to train for this. He might not even train. He might just be like, he could wake up and fight this guy tomorrow.
He probably could, but I guarantee you, he's probably gonna put in a full training camp. Why not? Just do it just for show, just to make sure, he's in shape. And I mean, how old is Floyd going to be? Like 45 or something like that, or maybe
he's 43 now. So yeah, 43? I guess by the time maybe he's 44 when he fights him. But because I know pay-per-view numbers. They also had like a format where they had the fight for sale already at $25, and then like it goes up after a couple of months and everything. So I forget what month it's booked for, but I know it's.
It's February. It's February. I think it's on the 20th. I think it's a couple of days before my birthday.
Oh, okay.
Like in February. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, it's we'll see what happens, man.
We will.
In real boxing, though, Canelo Alvarez came off of a good, impressive win over a guy that he was supposed to beat. It was another champion, a super middleweight champion, Callum Smith, who's from England. He had a size advantage. I think he was like 6'5" or whatever. But Canelo proved once again that like he'll have these fights every once in a while where like he has a fight contract with the Zone. So I think there's gonna be like there was maybe 7 or 8 fights that he's gonna get paid for to be on that. He's gonna get paid a certain amount of millions per fight, and he had a contract, so they gotta obviously some are gonna be filled in with people you don't know. But
I thought he didn't just leave the Zone or something? I thought he ended that some contract or something like that.
there were disputes because there was some type of miscommunication, I think, with Oscar De La Hoya saying that like he thought Canelo had promised to do this and that or whatever. Like they I think their language on the contract was off, or like their interpretation of what Canelo wanted versus what Oscar De La Hoya was telling the Zone was like there's a problem with that. I think there's a legal battle, but I think he's still on the Zone. That fight was on the Zone, so I think they figured it out, and they're still going to have him keep going with the company. Okay. But yeah, once again he proved, like, I was watching most of that fight, and he just overpowered the guy, even though he's smaller, and I think like obviously the weight was probably similar, but the guy it was no match for Canelo. He just toyed with the guy, didn't knock him out, but like just got his power shots. And this guy could take a punch. The other guy could, to his credit, he could take a lot of punches because he took like some big shots. Yeah, and somehow hung in there and tried to fight back, but none of Callum Smith's shots actually hurt Canelo. So it kind of just leads to a possible rematch with Triple G. That's what a lot of people want to see, but I think Canelo is more shutting the door on that because he thinks that's over and like that's past. Because I mean, but at the same time, when you saw the first fight with those two guys years ago, it was a draw, and like I actually thought Canelo probably lost that, and then they came back for the second one. Canelo got the win, so it's like it is kind of unfinished business in some ways. So it'll be interesting to see what Canelo wants to do next in terms of who he fights. But he just like it's just crazy to see his growth since losing to Floyd. I remember watching that fight, and he looked terrible. And that's probably, I think it's like 7 years ago now, and it's like just everything hasn't lost. It's the only loss of his career, and he's just exploded since then. So I don't know.
So I'm telling you, man, if Floyd was still boxing professionally, and Canelo now in his prime, I don't think Floyd takes that fight.
Oh no,
at all. He looks bigger, faster, stronger. Like he looks, to your point, he looks vastly different. I think that loss actually helped him, to be honest with you. But he was early on in his career, and you got to respect that, right? He took on Floyd, like literally one of the best boxers to ever box, like in his prime, technically still. Yeah. Took him on at a young age and took his licks, man. But I think that loss put him on that course to be Canelo now, basically, which is great. But Canelo now fighting Floyd would be devastating. Like that would.
I think Canelo would kill him. That's my opinion for sure. Because like he just looks like he looks like everything's improved: speed, power, just like physique, and like just what's it called? His I'm just forgetting that word right now. His endurance and stamina. Yes. Yeah. Like that's definitely like a whole nother level. But yeah, I mean, away from boxing, like we've also had some other big news, like in terms of the NBA with what's it called? So James Harden obviously has been in the trade talks, and he's been going through a lot of turmoil with how he's been acting. Obviously he wants to get out of Houston. It seems like it's obvious now. But he was at the strip club a couple weeks before training camp. Then he was at a little baby's birthday party or whatever. And there's a lot of people no masks, so he had to like wait before coming to camp. But now a new story is, I guess he threw a ball at a teammate in practice. Things are kind of getting tense during practice. So this doesn't look good, but the Rockets seem to be trying to hold their ground in terms of getting a deal where they're going to get equal or not equal value, but something that's the best trade for them at this point, because this happens. We've seen this happen so many years in the NBA. Somebody has been there for a while. They're tired of the situation because they haven't got the championship. They want to leave and try to have another chance somewhere else. So, I mean, it's big news, but they got to figure out what to do with him.
Yeah, I mean, apparently, so he's also, I think the reports came out today that he was in a strip club like after the last game without a mask. Same situation. Look. James Harden's he's like a great player. I really think he's a great player. He's a great offensive threat. Me personally, look, unless you want to sell seats and do certain things, and yes, he is. I think he is worth it. But for certain situations, like him going to like Philly, and you got to give up Ben. Do you want to give up Ben to go get him? Because I think it's Ben and maybe a couple other players and draft picks, right? His value has to equal out like all the other assets that you're willing to give up for him. So I think for him going to Brooklyn, I don't think that would work because then you're giving up guys like LeVert coming off the bench. You can literally give you 20 points a night off the bench.
Yeah.
And other draft picks. Like, you literally got the team. So I think the team that gets him, it really has to be strategic. And I think James, a lot of it's going to probably come down to his ego, right? Like, he's been the man for so many years. He's gotten everything he wants out of Houston. If he goes to another team, like say he hypothetically he came to the Lakers, right?
Yeah.
He would have to understand, like, there's a hierarchy. Like, it's like LeBron, AD, and then like you know what I mean? And then he has to learn to share the ball. Like, all these other things I think factor in. Like, I get that he's a facilitator, like he's averaged like 10 assists a game for the past couple of years or whatever, but he also holds the ball most of the time and like for a very long period of time, right? So
yeah,
the situation he goes to, like, whoever trades for him has to truly look at the team and say, is he worth what we are willing to give up for him? I don't know where he's really going to go. I don't think the things he's doing now, or like going to nightclubs and doing all this stuff, is really helping. Because I think he did this thing when they were winning, but now he doesn't want to be there. I think now the team's like, all right, we're not going to PR this anymore. Like, we're just going to let the story go. But I think he's been doing this since he's been in Houston. Like, I don't think this is anything new, but they're just no longer going to, protect him anymore. So
yeah,
whatever you get with James Harden is what you get. But great player, great scorer, but I think there's very limited teams that can handle a personality like James. Because he's not going to stop going to the strip club just because he's on a new team. He's probably going to do the same, stay in the same town, or if they have an extended trip, and do the exact same thing. I don't think that's going to stop. So you got to really be okay with that. Hence, when the Miami Heat, apparently, like, they were in talks to get him, and I think they cut that off immediately after, because they realized, like, you got to give up guys like Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero, and, like, I don't know, maybe give up Bam, you think? I don't know, or someone else, but like, they got to really give up a lot of their young core. And then you think James would have fit in Miami with Pat Riley and those guys? I don't think so, dude. They wouldn't even let LeBron bring his entourage to the games. Like, they were having riffs about that. So James Harden doing that would never have flown in Miami. And he and Jimmy would have butted heads 100%. So there's very limited teams that would get him, and I don't think it would be championship caliber teams that could theoretically get him, because you would have to give up too much to go get him. So I'm not really sure where he could go. I could see him for some reason in Atlanta. Him and Trae Young, maybe. That'd be kind of cool, but who knows?
Yeah, it depends on what everybody's going to give up. I think Brooklyn would be stupid actually to get him, because I don't see – there's too many cooks in the kitchen. That's my expression. There's like – you have too many guys that need the ball if you went there. And then the amount of people you have to give up, you're giving up – like, their team's already deep. Like, it's probably one of the best – like, it's going to be one of the deepest teams in the league this year. And
think of it this way. Remember, so before they even got Kyrie and KD, that group had made it with D'Lo. They had made it to the playoffs. Yeah. Kyrie gets injured last year. That same team made it to the playoffs again, right? So they're a good team constructively, right? And they play well together.
Yeah.
You need guys to kind of buy in, know their roles, and play. I think the way they're constructed, I think they're fine. And to your point, if they get James Harden, you would have to give up all those guys. And for some reason, I think it's more Kyrie related. I don't know if Kyrie and James would fit, because he's never played with him. I think that would be the bigger issue.
Yeah, it's it can go either way. Like, I wouldn't say that Brooklyn would be like bad with Harden. That obviously would be a threat. They'd be very hard to guard, but at the same time, I think it takes away that. Yeah, I think taking your depth away at this point, it would be a bad move, because you already have such a good team around those players that, like, the bench is fantastic. Like, Caris LeVert's probably gonna be a 6th man of the year. Mm-hmm. Like, he's just gonna have free reign when he comes in. Yeah, and I don't think I think, like, there's also reports that Harden was, like, always late for meeting, like, late a lot of times, like, too many times. Like, Charles Barkley criticized him because it's like one thing if you're late once or twice, but if you're late constantly, like, it just shows that you're something it's gonna bother the team. It's gonna bother management at some point. And I know and I know he's backing it up. Like, he's a great player. Like, I've never really questioned his work ethic or anything like that. Like, we haven't seen that on the court. But yeah, that report where like he came in or he was late and like Westbrook was yelling at Coach Mike D'Antoni to play the film. He's like, play it. He's like, James isn't here yet. He's like, start it. Like, start. I don't care. Like, and he's like, well, we'll just watch it again. So like that was a moment where if it's true, I mean, I don't know how they even find that out at a certain point. Maybe somebody had to talk. But if that's true, yeah, it just seems like things are gonna come to an end in Houston. And to be honest, like if they get honestly any trade they make, they're actually going to be, might be a better team without him in some ways than they are now. Because if they let's say they do the Sixers deal, even if they just get Ben Simmons and picks, like then you have John Wall, Ben Simmons, you have a great starting lineup, like without like James. I know there's like question marks with the injuries of those guys that are like Cousins and Wall, but like that's like a pretty legit team. If you get Harris or if you get like Simmons and like one other starting player, and you put them on, you plug them in, like that's like good enough. This is probably like, I think this deal will be one of the deals where like it comes off okay for the second team. It's not like the worst, because at least like Ben Simmons is still a superstar in my opinion. I know he's not a great shooter, but if you get him, at least you have somebody like you replace James with a younger star who's like still like blossoming. I think even though he got hurt last year, he's trying to bounce back. So I think that if they make that trade, that's great. And even with the Nets, if they make the trade with the Nets, I still think that's good for them too, because they get young players like LeVert and Dinwiddie, or like someone like they get picks. So like either trade like the Lakers the Nets or Sixers. I think that's the go-to probably for them. They've mentioned the Nuggets. Like I can't even imagine hard on the Nuggets, but like they have a lot of pieces that they can trade, like Michael Porter Jr., who just blossomed in the playoffs and he's like finally healthy. So there's a lot of different teams. I just don't know which one they're going to pick. But most of them, for me, make it a good enough trade where you get enough back to like make your team. I mean, make a good starting lineup at the very least.
Yeah. I mean, look, I think just an affiliate point, but if they traded Ben Simmons and now you have John Wall and Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons is not a shooter. He can't shoot. So
yeah,
he also plays a point guard position. So what would John Wall do? You know, because all these like other questions. I think the way it's constructed, like Ben fits really well on the Sixers because Joel doesn't need the ball. He can play off the ball and he can hit threes, right? And I think where Ben comes into play now, actually more than ever, is going to be I think Ben was 6'10".
Yeah.
So he's at least a decent size and athletic wise to like somehow not contain as much as possible KD, right? Because now you're in the East, and like that's going to be your main competition, right? Facing guys like KD. So I think however you slice it, this trade is going to be very weird. A lot of these teams now know that like Houston wants to get rid of him. James doesn't want to be there. He turned down $100 million in 2 years to not be there. The team is no longer protecting him. All these things are, you notice how all these things are leaking out now after James turned down $100 million.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to be there, right? But the team has control of his contract, I think, for the next 3 years. So regardless of whatever he thinks or whatever, he has to be there for at least 3 years.
Yeah.
There's nothing he can do about it. So the team doesn't have to rush anything. I think he probably plays out most of this year. And I think if depending on if they're winning games and you know, whatever, I think then you might get a trade later on. But I think for the first couple months, like he's going to be on the team. There's no need for them to trade him. They actually need him right now. So, but the team that does trade for him, I'm really not sure, because I'm not super sold on him, man. You know, he doesn't play defense. If LeBron says, you know what, I don't want to play defense, LeBron could drop 80 points a night if he wanted to. If he says, I don't want to assist, I don't want to play defense, he can get 80 points a night. You're not stopping LeBron. But he does everything else, right? So is James willing to do that? I'm really not sure, man. He also wants to be the man. And in Philly, that would still be Joel Embiid. I think Joel Embiid is a better player than Harden. I like all-around player. I do think that. Like he's a more down, like he does more. Like he has to play defense. He can shoot. He can be in the low block. Like he does all these things. He's a good passer enough. Like all these things. So James is a tricky situation. I don't know where he's going to go. I hope whoever gets him can live with him, but the same things that he did in Houston is going to follow him no matter what.
Yeah. I mean, I think that if you went to the Sixers, I mean, Doc Rivers, I think, would bring the best out of him because I think in some ways Harden's play style has been attached to Mike D'Antoni for the last 3 or 4 years. Has been that run and gun, like 7 seconds or less or whatever, 15 seconds or less, get a shot up, shoot it 3, like no layups, like all that. I think like with Doc Rivers, I think he's definitely a better coach, and I feel like he can like cater to stars and figure out how to get the best out of them because I think even with the Clippers last year, like they did have the collapse, but like they were able to like mesh between having a run and gun style and a half court offense. Like I think he's able to like, so if Harden did come there, like obviously I think they would have a better system that would like, it would make James change the way he has to play because Embiid's there. And like, if they want to give him obviously like, plays in the post, like he can't do it. Obviously D'Antoni's gone. So there's no more of that. Like that system's not going to be how they play. If he goes there, it's going to be half court, more offense like that. I mean, they can run if they want at times, but like obviously they're going to be looking to be in the half court. So I think like with Embiid and Harden, like, I mean, I think that's a pretty solid combination. It depends on how many people they have left over after the trade, but I think Doc Rivers would be like the one to like figure that out. And even with Simmons himself, like I think Rivers is, I mean, I'm interested to see what they do if they like just having Simmons in the beginning. I don't think we're going to see Harden get traded before Simmons like plays his first game or whatever. So I want to see how they roll out Simmons in this new offense. Like I think they might have him like maybe do some like shooting guard, like just put him at different positions to be successful because they have other ball handlers now. Like they have Seth Curry. And I think they have I'm blanking on a few other pieces, but they have like, I think they're going to find like Doc Rivers is the coach. I think they needed a better coach, basically. Brett Brown had his chances. That guy's a good coach. Obviously he coached under Popovich, but Doc Rivers, I think for me is one of the best in the league. And obviously that's why they scooped him up right after he got fired. Like he wasn't even, they thought about D'Antoni and they're like, no, we're taking Doc Rivers now. And Simmons, like, so there's a way, I think we're going to see more from Simmons that he'll be a guy that, will maybe have to look to score first, or he might have to change his game a little bit. We'll see how the system changes, but I think he can like turn into a guy who just scores because he can score. I mean, like as far as like driving and just being in the post, I mean, he's got a mismatch almost every time. So like that's what his strength is. So
he does, right? He does, but I honestly believe until he gets a jump shot, I will not consider him a superstar. I will consider him a nice star. I think he's a great young player. But he needs a consistent jump shot, which he does not have. He does not have. Like, so late in games, in big time games, you're not going to give him the ball. It's just not going to happen. And it's proven. Either Joel gets the ball or they shoot it out or they kick it out to a shooter. It always happens, right? So he needs to, since he's been in the league, he has played the exact same game. I think he's taken 1 3-pointer since he's been in the league. That's not going to win you games consistently, like in the playoffs. Like if he just gets a mid-range jump shot and takes 1 3 a game and can make it somewhat decent, his value would be even higher. Because I think he's a great player. He's a great passer, has great handles, has the size for a point guard. He's 6'10". I get it. He's built. He plays, and he also plays defense, but he's also not coming off an injury. So let's see how he comes out, athletically off that. And then, is he going to want to bang in the paint with that injury that he's currently had? So I think his game, I hope he's working on some jump shots, mid-range, and that would change and open up everything. I think that's how, to be honest with you, his lack of a jump shot lost Brett Brown his job. I honestly think that 100%. If he could actually shoot the mid-range and shoot the 3 consistently, that man might still have a job. I truly believe that because that would really help out Joel Embiid a lot more. But I don't know. If maybe this is why they brought Doc over, to kind of help that situation because he's helped big men before. Because I think back when he was coaching, what's his name, Blake Griffin. There's a point where Blake was just a dunker, right? And but throughout those years, like he actually learned and he actually got a decent mid-range jumper. If he can actually do what Blake Griffin can do with the mid-range and occasionally shoot a 3, you'll have a vast – I will then consider him a superstar, 100%.
Yeah. I mean, it's taken a lot of years for even Giannis to, he still doesn't have a jump shot. I mean, this year looks like he's showing flashes of it finally happening, but
he takes a shot. But he takes – that's all you care about. He's taken the shot. because
Yeah.
it looks weird now, but in 5 years, all those weird clunky shots he's taken is going to look a lot better in 5 years, which is the goal. So,
Yeah. I guess they have somebody working with him too, like a shot doctor. So they're trying. I see him like taking him, and I'm like, you know what? It's looking better this year. It is looking better, a little bit smoother. So like, hopefully that improves, and we see like a better Giannis this year that can like do a little bit of something different. Because in the playoffs, you get slowed down in the half court. Like he's not like as we saw the Miami Heat just were able to shut him down because they just like put a defender on him, like they double him if they have to, and the help wasn't there in terms of his teammates. So that was it. It was game over for him. But yeah, back to
100%.
Yeah, dude. And then other more shifting to NFL. I know we were talking about this off air, but the Eagles, man. I mean, everyone's still alive in the NFC East, but Jalen Hurts taking over and showing a lot of skills in those couple of games he's played.
Seriously, look, man, I'm an Eagles fan. I love my Eagles. I will always love my Eagles. But what I will say is Carson is – I was happy when we drafted him. I'm happy for the things he's – I thought he was worth the contract when we signed him.
Yeah.
But my concern with Carson was he wasn't always available in the moments that we needed him. Last year he played great, and then mid the playoffs, and he literally had like another back injury. Right? I'm not blaming him, but consistently for the past 4 years or so, like he just has not been able to stay on the field at the right time. So guess what? We had to have had a backup. If we didn't have Nick Foles, we wouldn't have won a championship. We wouldn't have been afloat while he was injured, right? We paid Nick Foles $10 million to be the backup. I mean, literally. So we're telling you, Carson, this is important, right? The issue with Carson is because of the injuries, I don't know what he does. Well, like when you're injured, you're rehabbing the injury. You're not really focusing on, doing the other mechanical stuff that you need to be a quarterback, right? So he's doing things that he shouldn't be doing. Throw the ball away. So there's just times in the pocket where he's literally holding on to the ball too long. Just throw it away. I don't care. Throw the ball away and take the hit. I don't care. Throw it away. He holds on to the ball. He'll take the sack. He'll take the fumble, and then he'll then try to throw it into like double, triple coverage, right? Some of the decisions he's making has not been smart. We have done. I'm not going to say we've done everything right by him, but the moment you sign a contract for $100 million or $109 million fully guaranteed, and then with a total value of I think it's like 120 something, 28 million or something like that. The moment you sign that deal, you're saying I'm good enough to eat up X amount of the cap space. You start making $30 million a year. Guess what? Yes, we're going to have less money to pay guys. So guess what that means? You have to be good enough to elevate the guys you have on the current team. I don't hear Russell Wilson complaining with his shitty offensive line because they're bad. Yeah. His offensive line is complete trash. But guess what he does? He makes it work, and he wins games. Carson last year, I think he did a good job. But after that injury, it just seems like he was rehabbing the injury, and he just didn't progress as a passer. He'd like regress. He had to focus more on the actual injury itself. Yeah. And I don't think it's a fluke that now you have Nick Foles, and now you have Jalen Hurts coming in and starting. But the issue with Jalen was Jalen didn't get the job because Carson got injured. He got the job because for 12 weeks he played horribly. And that's a fact. Like he actually played extremely bad. And then you can't say, well, Jalen, here, go up against, the number one defense in the league, or here at the Saints, go to the fire and die. And the man had 0 sacks, and a rush for 100 yards that on a team that never gave up a 100-yard rusher in the last, I think it was like 50 games or so. So how is that possible, right? Then the next game, yes, he got sacked 6 times, but guess what he also did? He also threw for 300 yards. I also saw him throw the ball away when he needed to throw the ball away. And the simple things, he's making the simple throws. I think that's the thing. I think I don't know what's going to happen. Yes, it sucks. Carson has a big cap hit. The NFL doesn't make it easy with trading contracts, which I think is ridiculous. But the only other option we can do is I think instead of him saying, I don't like the situation, which I think is what Carson said, I think he should compete for the job. Come back in the offseason when you had which the blessing is he's going to be healthy. If you're healthy, come back in the offseason, train what you need to do, and have a fair QB competition. if you're $100 million quarterback, you mean you can't tell me you can't beat out a rookie? Come on, man. If you can't beat out a rookie, who else are you going to beat out? There's no other job that you can theoretically get. You're always going to then lose to a backup. So I don't know.
I think you might just have to get out of there, man. I think Carson Wentz has to go because he's, I think psychologically and mentally, just everything that has happened to him, like where he's had to watch a backup win the Super Bowl, and then, like you said, all the injuries and everything like that, and having a line where he, I guess, cannot take enough. He's taking a lot of punishment, and he's also not a guy that's great on the running, using his legs. So I think that's where it's kind of just compounded. I think not being able to completely, I guess, be healthy and just, I guess, everything that's been going wrong. It's also a tough place to play in terms of like the fans. I know there haven't been fans this year.
Yeah.
But I think that he's probably seen like the headlines, and he's probably been just like caught up in all the disappointment that they've suffered, that they've had since he's just through the last 3 or 4 years. It's just been, I think it's like a thing where he needs, I could see him blossoming somewhere else. He needs a better line. He needs to probably just get out, because I see Hurts just coming in and being the guy, because it kind of reminds me of when, even when Mike Vick took over for McNabb, right? Was it McNabb? He was there. Was it full at the time? Was it?
It was Foles at the time. Yeah.
Okay, at the time.
Yeah.
And they found him, and they blossomed, and they like kind of leaned towards a guy who could use his legs to get away and make some plays. So I think Hurts will probably be that guy. I think they're going to maybe move towards him. Like, they obviously he's getting the starts, and I think that, like, what we've seen, I mean, like, he's definitely got a lot of skills, and he had a good college career. There's a lot of doubts about him. They didn't know what position he'd play and all that, but he's clearly a quarterback, and I think that the organization will probably be ready to make this move. Like, I guess depending on if they can unload Wentz's contract, I don't know if someone would take upon that contract. It would have to be a team that really needs a quarterback, and it might be a crappier team that just is riddled by injuries already, and they might need someone to come in and just help their team. So, but yeah, for me, I guess, like, Hurts, I don't think Wentz is going to start another game this season, and Wentz is just going to have to, I don't know, he's going to look in the mirror. I don't know. Something's going to happen, man. He's either going to be gone, or, because he said he doesn't want to be a backup. So it doesn't look great for him. I think he'll be leaving. And they'll probably I think they'll keep Doug Peterson. Like, I don't think, because obviously he won the Super Bowl. I know it's been a couple of rough years, but it's kind of like a little bit of a rebuild in some ways. They have some good young pieces, good receivers that are coming up. And I think they might maybe move away from Wentz if Hurts can, as long as Hurts like stays like somewhat healthy, and like he shows that he can make those smart plays, like you said, like throwing the ball away when he's under pressure.
Mm-hmm.
I see no reason why he won't be the guy going forward, especially after just an awful season where, like, they had every opportunity, the Eagles, to be the NFC champion, and they actually still could be, but like, just they had some time. They could have separated themselves from the pack, because the rest of the division's crap. I mean, like,
yeah,
we're not, our quarterback's done. Our starting quarterback Dak is done. Daniel Jones has been out a couple of games. Like, the Redskins, Alex Smith came back mid-season, and somehow I mean, they have a good defense for sure. The Redskins have that. They have Kerrigan, and they have that pick. I forget his name. The defensive end. Chase Daniel. So, like,
Chase Young. Chase
Young.
Who made the Pro Bowl, by the way, which is insane. But.
Yeah, so they had good pieces in their organization even before, because like before Alex Smith got hurt, they had a team that was like, they were in the playoffs, and then Smith was done. So that they had a team. They have a good unit around everybody else but the quarterback, and then they were trying to figure that out. But for them to be at the top, you'd think, like, okay, if you told me before the season that Dak is going to be out the whole season, and then, like, who's your next pick? I would say the Eagles. Like, the Eagles are going to win it, right? Like, that right off the bat, because you're thinking Dwayne Haskins is on the Redskins, and you're looking at Daniel Jones with, like, a team that's rebuilding in New York. Like, my pick would have been the Eagles, but just things went wrong, regardless of whose fault it was, and they still have a chance to obviously get that division title, but it's just, you think it would have been just a runaway season if they would have been firing on all cylinders, and like Wentz would have been better. Wentz has just had a terrible season.
Look, at the end of the day, man, think about it this way. Yes, Wentz has been technically replaced by two backups, but Jalen literally got replaced by Tua in a national championship game, right? Look at how that. But at the end of the day, I think, to my knowledge, he was a really good teammate about it. Like, he didn't take any negative things towards Tua. He actually tried to do his best, to help out the team in whatever way he could. Graduated in 3 years and then said, you know what, man, I need another opportunity, right? Because he still had like an eligibility left. So he went to OU, and then Lincoln Riley, just the quarterback guru, said, look, I got you, man. I think the issue is Alabama isn't known for quarterbacks. Tua really is the only quarterback that like had some true quarterbacking potential, right? Won in the first round. Mm-hmm. But they're not known for development quarterbacks, right? They run the ball and they play great defense. That's what they're known for. But you go to OU, where like the quarterback is like, you need to be able to throw the ball. You need to understand like different route concepts and all these things. So I think he really focused on that for that year and really developed. And I think the difference between him and I'm seeing with Carson is like his footwork. It's consistent. Yeah. Even when he was on the run, like he's literally squaring shoulders and making the actual throw. Like he's doing that consistently. I don't think Carson is like doing that. I think for whatever reason, he's two in his head and is not thinking, like he's just not there for some reason.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but Jalen has come in and with the same offensive line, same receivers, doing the exact same thing. He's like, I don't care how bad the offensive line is. You're making $30 million. Like you decided to take the money. You knew the team constructively, like that was there. It is what it is. Figure it out. He didn't figure it out. Jalen is making it work. He seems more coachable.
But he's better on the legs too. I mean, it's like you said with Russell Wilson. Like Russell Wilson is figuring it out, but Russell Wilson is more skilled than Carson Wentz. Like in terms of like, that's what I would say.
That's very true. No, you're right. But at the same time, so Russell got the job. I remember Matt Flynn was on the Green Bay Packers. He had like a couple of good games.
Yeah.
Then they signed him for like $20+ million. And then Russell Wilson, a third-round draft pick, comes in, beats him out in training camp. All right, but now the better option is your starting quarterback. Dak Prescott. Tony got injured. Dak comes in, balls out, plays well. I think they still owed Tony million. I think they still owed Tony like $50 million at the time, but he became the backup and he was still so like. Yeah. At the end of the day, like you got to eat salary and play the guy who you think gives you the better option to win. I think Tony Romo is a great quarterback. I think he should be in the Hall of Fame. But the reason why you guys decided to stay with Dak was, one, he was stable, healthy, made great decisions consistently, and he was cheaper. You had that guy for 4 years not making $1 million.
Yeah, he was winning, and they were winning. They were just like in a great groove. Like they were not going to be. They were just on a winning streak. They were just going, and they didn't want to disrupt the flow, taking him out, putting somebody else, changing the chemistry and everything like that. Like it was just going so well. They're like, let's keep him in, and let's see where he's going to go. And he turned into be their franchise quarterback up until obviously the injury. But I think he's still going to be that guy. Hopefully after he recovers.
I think so too. So I think those guys are just mentally tough, right? And it goes back to Jalen. He like losing your job to a number one draft pick, right? You lost your job. Now you got to go somewhere else. But then he went somewhere else and he flourished. He was a Heisman runner-up, right?
Yeah.
I think Jalen is built more for Philly. I really just do. I think he just embodies Philly a little bit more. And nothing against Carson. Like he's just like since McNabb and Foles and like Vic, like I like Carson because he's my quarterback, but I never like loved him. You know what I mean? But I never want to speak bad of him because like that's my guy. Like he's the quarterback of our team. It is what it is. But I just never loved him.
Yeah.
So, but Jalen, for some reason, I don't know what it is. It's just like, fuck, like this guy's nice. I like him. Like he just like I want to like I started following him on Instagram. Like I'm like, you know, give me all things Jalen. I want to know more about him. I don't think Carson did that for Philly. Philly's a gritty city town, and Carson's from like North or South Dakota. Like he hunts and shit. Like I don't know. It's just not what a Philly guy does. I don't know, man. Nothing against hunting. Like I'm cool for it, but it just doesn't fit the city of Philadelphia. I don't know. That's all it is.
Yeah, no, it's starting to look rough. And I think if there were fans this year, they'd be turning on him. There'd be like chants for Hurts. There probably would have been chants for Hurts like prior to when he came in for sure.
It would have been
the first right?
It would have been worse.
Couple games.
He might have had things thrown at him on the bench. That's a
Yeah.
seriously.
Yeah, it could have went that badly, and he got lucky with no fans being in the building. I mean, actually, there were fans. I forgot they actually did have fans in the beginning. So they had a couple games, right, where they had fans. I don't know. I didn't hear a lot about
Philly was one of the. I know for fact, like we had like an ordinance, I think, and I think they had issued it early. Like there was no fans like that would be at our stadium. I think until further notice. So we're one of the few stadiums like we just didn't allow any fans. But at the same time, to your point, no fans. It's quiet. You should be hearing the plays and just like being calm. No yelling, no nothing, no distractions. So for you to be, it would have been worse if for 12 weeks, bro, of him just playing like guard. Like think about it this way: Joe Burrow gets injured, his line is trash. His receivers are not that good because Adrian Green has fallen off a cliff. But you look at Joe Burrow, you're like, oh, that guy looks good. All right, shitty line, but he looks good. Mm-hmm. Carson, same situation. Yeah, our offensive line is not that great, but we also have injuries, and you know that. Our receivers could be better, right? But at the same time, you get benched. Jalen comes in, and the offensive line looks like they're the best offensive line in the league. Well, exaggerating there, but they look good. Yeah. For the most part, the receivers look like they can look like Pro Bowlers out there. Like I haven't seen Alshon Jeffrey make a catch until Jalen came in, and he's made he's made some great catches in the past like 2-3 weeks, right? Where was Alshon before? Like I didn't see this. Like where was the ball going to him? So I don't know, man.
He's not that old, man. He fell off a little bit, but yeah, I know what you're saying.
Who?
Alshon, like he used to be like a guy, like the number one. But I mean, he is a number one. He's not a number one now, I guess, but he's like, he's been hurt he was hurt most of this year, like earlier in the season. And then, but yeah, he used to be a guy when they got him, and he was on the Super Bowl team, right? He won the Super Bowl with them, I believe. Yeah. Like when they first made that trade, I was like, that was a big move, like getting that guy, because they never had like, they had years before that where they had no top receivers like that, like a big, tall guy who could like go up and get the ball. So I thought, at the time, I was like, yeah, it's a great move. And he did win the Super Bowl. He helped him out. But, yeah, obviously the last few years it's been like a dip in his production. And, yeah, but you can continue to go what you're saying after that.
No. I mean, Jalen, for some reason, like what a leader does. So I'm just basing it on what I can see. What I can see is since Jalen's been in, the team looked like they're like elevated. Like it just seems like everyone's playing at a higher level, which is what you're supposed to do when you don't have – the most talented team. That's the whole point, right? So you make them better, and the offense looks better. It looked fun. I'm not like for 12 games, even in the wins that we've had this year before Jalen, it didn't look that great. It looked weird, right? But we beat the Saints. I'm like, wow. Actually, when he got benched in the week 12 against the Packers. Jalen comes in. I'm like, oh shit, the game. I thought we could have won that game. It looked like we could have won that game. It just looked like that. All right, second week comes in. All week, oh well, he's going against like the number one defense. They're throwing him to the fire. The guy comes in, plays comparably, like he plays well enough for us to win the game. He did the simple things. The screen passes here, run when he needed to. Roll out of the pocket, throw the ball away. Like he did the simple things that like Carson should have just done. Yeah. Then we come to this week. Yeah, we lost to the Cardinals, but it felt like we were in the game. It felt like we could have won the game. He played well enough for us to win the game until we missed a field goal. And then we had the punt play. They made like that. The punter made that play and got like, I think like what, 15, 20 yards, got a first down. So simple things, but we were in the game and we could have won. So if we had just won that game and hopefully we can win out the next couple of games, the offense just looks different. It's the same exact offense, but it looks brand new with a new quarterback that's clearly being coached properly and taking the coaching. That's all it looks like to me.
Yeah, that's a good point, man. It's going to be a tight race to see who gets this division title. I mean, I don't know who's going to come out. I mean, I'm hoping the Cowboys do. You're hoping the Eagles do. It'll be crazy because I know the Cowboys play the Eagles and Giants the last two games. So that's a big like swing. Could go either way, whoever gets those two wins. And then the Redskins, I forget who they play. I think they might play one of the division opponents and then one other team. But yeah, it's like it's gonna finish tight. Tony Pollard was a guy who like helped me in fantasy last week because I had Zeke out and I made the championship because Tony Pollard got me 31 points. I plugged him in and I was able to get that. And he's like a guy who is a good backup. I think he's one of the best backups because he's got a lot of speed. Like he's got like Zeke's good, but
who's he play for again?
What? Oh, Tony Pollard's on the Cowboys.
Okay.
He's the backup. So he like he gets a decent amount of carries sometimes even when Zeke's healthy, but he's kind of like the change of pace. Like he's got a lot more speed right out of the backfield. Just for some reason, that's what his strength is. So he only had like 70 yards rushing, but he had a lot of catches and he had that 69-yard like touchdown run at the end. Like that put me over the top. Like I was like worried about losing and all of a sudden like that just came out of nowhere. He spun off the tackle and took it. And I was like, oh my God, like this guy, great fantasy pickup when Zeke's not in. Like, so I'm in my championship with playing against our friend Carmine, and we've been talking a lot of smack back and forth to each other, trying to get the upper hand, get in someone's head, hopefully make a bad substitution on someone's part. Put somebody in that's gonna have a bad day. But yeah, dude, that's it's interesting. It's gonna be interesting end to that division and the season itself. But I guess looking ahead to like the predictions in terms of who the Super Bowl is gonna who's gonna get to the Super Bowl. It's a tough choice. I mean, obviously Kansas City's probably the favorite in the AFC. The Steelers. That's another topic.
I would have said the Steelers, but I don't know how the way they're playing now. I'm not really.
Juju keeps he keeps dancing. It could be bad.
Could be.
I didn't realize though until I watched Undisputed today on Fox that they said that he's been dancing. I didn't realize he dances every game, so it's not like it hasn't been out of the ordinary. So it's happened to be 3 games where he's danced and like they've lost, but obviously he's danced for all 14. So, but yeah, that cracks me up a little bit because just the fact that he got like rocked in the last game against the Bengals, like just after dancing on the logo. I mean, that's a thing that it reminds me of like when T.O. was on the 49ers and he went to the middle of the Cowboys star, placed the ball down, but he got rocked by George Teague, the defensive back, who would just like found to be disrespectful. And I think most people would if you were an opponent. I mean, during a game, it's different. So like Antonio Cromartie was on Undisputed and he said like I wouldn't really care what anybody does before the game.
Yeah.
But then Shannon Sharp was also saying like we would use that, like you're gonna dance. He's like, you're gonna dance on my logo. I'm not gonna do anything about it. I'm gonna do something about it. So I mean, you can see that in a lot of ways. I mean, the Bills, I think Josh Allen talked about it in the huddle before the Bills played them a couple weeks ago. He said like, oh, we're not gonna dance, we're just gonna go out there and like beat them up. Like we're gonna like I think it definitely does, like it can give you some motivation. I mean, it would motivate me. I know I'm not a football player, but I'm saying like if you told me that and showed me it, even though it's done out of just joy or what, listen, you can say it's just joy, but at the same time, it's like you're dancing on it's not like you're dancing on your logo, you're dancing on the opposing team's logo. So it's like that gives me something to be like, okay, he's like just like if I saw that as a defensive player, I'd be like, we're gonna rock his world tonight. That's just my opinion.
Look, man. I mean, I think it's anywhere you can get motivation. It is. I'm fine with that. Nothing wrong with it. I don't like. He's been doing it all year, and clearly, like no one had an issue with it until now. Right now, I think the team is like, oh, damn, man, this guy's dancing on logos. We're losing now. Like we got to stop. I think if they had won the game, it wouldn't have mattered. I think if you're a team, though, this is like the point in the season where like any motivation you can use, man. You got to use anything, right? I think they were saying Kobe like made up. No, it was Jordan actually. The Jordan documentary where he was talking about like he just made up a lie about like this guy saying something about him, and then he said, "Man, it never happened." But like I told myself that. So I could drop like 30 on him, right? So you just sometimes you gotta lie, man.
That's like the funniest thing, dude. That's like because that's near like insanity. Like it'd be one thing if you got motivated off of someone's comment, but like to think that's like a whole other. To be able to convince yourself that someone said something negative about you. I mean, it is. I guess that's like watching. I guess that's similar to somebody watching like an inspiring speech beforehand. It is similar to like giving yourself an inspiration in a certain way. You could probably watch something that has nothing to do with basketball, but inspired you or motivated you to go out there and like just get pumped up and for some reason. So yeah, it is a little bit nuts, but if it works and it did work, then there's no problem. I don't have a problem with that.
Neither do I. Yeah, I don't care, man.
Yeah.
Screw it.
Yeah, this is kind of like a sidebar, but I know we don't talk a lot of politics at all really on this show, but I was watching Joe Rogan's podcast the other day with Andrew Scholes, and they're talking about like how Gavin Newsom, like the governor of California, is possibly going to be they use a certain word like I don't know, not like he's going to withdraw, but like they said that it's happened once before in California's history where they take the governor out, like not because of election, but they I don't know what the phrase was. It was something strange to me. Like he's doing so bad that even like CNN's trashing him. like he's a guy. Yeah, it was like a word.
When you do the president sometimes.
It wasn't like a pardon. It was like something else. But they were like there's discussion about like him being taken out because of like how like even like when you know CNN's trashing you, that's when you know you're doing something bad in terms of if you're on the left. I think if you're a guy who is obviously more liberal and you get trashed on a liberal network, then that means you're probably fucking up in some way. You know what I'm saying? Like, because most of the time they wouldn't like most of the time your network or your affiliation wouldn't attack you. But in terms of like Elon Musk, like moving his headquarters to Texas and all the like shutdowns happening, like the kind of the more strict shutdowns happening over there.
So is this all because of the fact that he's shutting down California again?
I think that's more what it's about. And also just the fact that he was like, I guess out. I know a lot of governors have been like, so they've been out somewhere eating after like kind of just like going against the protocols that they set, I think is starting to get really frowned upon by people. Because they said that Joe Rogan said that they have 800,000 signatures to remove what's his name, Newsom from office. And I guess if they get to 2 million or something, like then something actually can be done apparently legally, which is I was a little bit surprised by. So like, yeah, because you can say what you want in terms of the mask wearing or whatever in the quarantine has kind of become unfortunately like a left and a right issue in some ways with like the mask. Like, oh, you can't tell me like don't tell me to wear a mask. It's freedom, bro. Like I'm free. I'm like, bro, let's fucking wear the mask, man. Like it's not a big deal, and but it's turned into that like on this like either side of the spectrum where left there could be more people on the left that might be more inclined to maybe stay in, and like on the right they just might be like they're ready to go out and have a good time, or they're just kind of like living like nothing's going on. Like so, there's been all that back and forth, and I think at this point, because all the businesses shutting down and stuff like that, I think that's where you'll probably see more of the outrage coming from, because just people losing the livelihoods. But luckily, even seeing Dave Portnoy do that Barstool Sports Fund to like kind of like give money to businesses, like that's a great thing that they're doing. So I'm happy to see that like something is at least there's like one charity, if you want to call it that, that's like kind of addressing and trying to help businesses stay afloat if they can. Because yeah, it just seems like basically nobody has all the right answers, but if a business like a restaurant or like a bar has like been open and followed all the protocols and done everything they've been told to do to be safe and like still operate, then like it's hard for me to see why they should be like closed again. And I know it's because like things are spiking, but just there has to be some kind of medium where they got to figure out how to keep these businesses afloat, whether that's giving them a tax break or just finding a way where like lenders have to take a hit. Like it just seems like everyone in some way might have to take a hit financially to keep things open. But I just wanted to get your thoughts on just like where quarantine's going. I mean, obviously we have the vaccine on the horizon. I know it's pumping out right now and people are getting it. I mean, like you saw Biden get it on TV. So I just want to get your thoughts on like just where we're going with this, everything.
So I agree, man. I think the restaurant industry has been one of the few industries that has taken as many precautions as they can. And I think they're one of the few industries that didn't wait until a government came out and says, you got to do this and this and this. They were building infrastructures like New York. Like New York, they were building like these infrastructures on the sidewalks where people can kind of go in and they're outdoors and all these things. They were doing all these ingenuitive kind of things to kind of like stay afloat and like follow the protocol and, you know, while adapting, right? So I think that's one of the industries that has adapted. To your point, I think we as a country, we could have easily avoided a lot of these things by just giving a lot of these businesses, to your point, like the necessary resources or tax breaks or whatever it is. So like these are all things that we could have done, right? If you go to Italy had I think Italy was paying everyone X amount of dollars per month from the start. And I think they might still be doing it, right? And I think they were giving guys tax breaks, all these different things to make sure people just stay in. If the companies are being paid or they knew they didn't have to like pay X amount of taxes, blah, 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 do this, you would have had less people upset. But Gavin Newsom, look, all these politicians, whether you're on the right or left, are in tough situations, right? Because in politics, you will never have 100% of the votes. Impossible. Yeah. No matter what you do, your own party will find ways to attack you because there is no one size fits all. And I think, unfortunately, all this is going to come down to the fact of the way we vote. I think Maine has a thing. It's called like the ranked choice voting, where like you have different kind of levels of if your vote doesn't go to the first party, it goes to the second guy, and then so on and so on and so on. I think that's how we need to vote because we all have different tendencies for different things, right? Yes, I'm liberal, but there's certain aspects of my life where I like to be, if you want to say it's more Republican-esque, right? Like I don't like paying taxes. Like who the fuck does, right? If you see your money not going towards the thing you like to do, yes, I would like to pay less in taxes. It doesn't make me a Republican or whatever. It makes me an individual who likes to save my own fucking money. But the government if you see that they're doing the opposite of certain things that you like, within not fitting your interests, then yes, you're going to want certain changes. So I think yes, they need to look at the hospitality industry and give them more breaks, more of this, whatever resources they can, because unlike the medical field, you know, they weren't getting a lot of help, right? A lot of these small business owners had to come up with their own ideas to stay afloat, pay their guys, right? So I think if the government had said, you know what, we will use more tax dollars to help out this industry, make sure instead of loans, actually pay these individuals, like, or give massive tax breaks to the point where like they're paying no taxes, right? Because these businesses are losing so much money, they're gonna like get money in the end anyway. Yeah. So if we were doing things like that, like yes, then you would have less people caring about where your tax dollars go, because you're seeing it go into like certain things like this industry where you're helping people who are literally need to be there physically to help you and do whatever. So to answer your question, I don't know where it's going to go. Unfortunately, Gavin Newsom, I mean, if he's not following his own order, then yes, that's on him. But he's also like, forget that. He's in a tough position because unlike every other state, he has the most people per capita, right? He has 40 million people in one fucking city. Actually, it's probably more than 40 million because he has a lot more undocumented immigrants in his state. So he has to worry about a lot more millions of people, a lot more millions of jobs. Where his state's located, it's a major port for other countries. So he has to worry about a lot more, right? So unfortunately, he's not in a landlocked state where he can't just worry about little things, right? He has so many moving parts that he has to now think about. So if he does one decision and the majority of his people are now getting COVID, unfortunately, they then go to those restaurants. And guess what? Doing the whole heat check thing, I get it. It's a cool precaution, but guess what? You can be asymptomatic, walk in, now everyone's infected. I think that's where the issue lies. But if you do the preventative work of giving tax breaks and working with these, and if they just worked with them on a better basis work with that industry, the restaurant industry, like, yeah, it would have been, they would have less complaints. I think that's where the issue is, that the industry had to have done more and not rely on the government. And then because they no longer rely on the government, but it looks like they are being more attacked. And even with all the precautions that they've taken with their own funds, that the government is saying, not good enough. We are going to shut down again and close your business. I think that's the hypocritical part. If in the beginning they worked on a plan for that sector, I think this would have been a little different. But it's a tough position to be in. So I can see both sides, but I do think I am on the side of the restaurant industry, because I do feel like they've done a lot too. I feel safe when I go to restaurants. Like, everyone's spaced out. Everything's outside. They have heat lamps. So I'm not disrespecting that fact, but at the same time, I understand where he's coming from, where he just has too many millions of people. It's not New York where it's 7-8 million, or Jersey. How many people does Jersey have? Like 18 maybe?
Yeah, I don't know, somewhere around there, I think, right? Something.
He has nearly 50 million people that he literally has to look after, and somehow wonder, how am I going to not have this escalate and spread to every single person, right? I think that's the issue. But it's a complex issue, man. But at the end of the day, it's going to start with dialogue, and they have to, I think, talk to that industry and have some workarounds. And to your point, the tax thing is going to be big. Given being able to, not just the loans, because a loan means you got to pay the money back. I feel like they need to just get money in general. Like, they pay taxes. Like, they should just get the money, keep them afloat. If you want to do the shutdown, that's what I feel like. If within the shutdown of them not having the business, then they should get X amount of dollars while they're in this shutdown. Because what it would then do is then say, you then have to look at the shutdown and be like, well, do we still need to have a shutdown? Cases are going down. Okay, let's stop it. Then we can stop paying them, so that they can reopen their business. I think that's the compromise, right? That would be a better solution. Who knows?
Yeah, man, it's crazy how even I think it's like we're pretty lucky to not have actually gotten it. I'm like surprised. Like, think about it, like, what are we, 9 months in, and like to be honest, I know you can stay safe and everything, but it's crazy. I guess we're also not in a big city, so I think that helps. But it's like, when you think about it, like, for us to not have gotten it yet, to our knowledge, I don't know.
I had it. I had it earlier. I had it like after my birthday. I was in back in Colorado. So
I forgot about that. I almost forgot.
But
God,
it wasn't. My symptoms wasn't crazy. Like, I was just very, very tired, no energy. Like, just didn't want to do anything. Like, didn't eat and do it. Like, I had some pains, like my body, but like, it wasn't anything severe where I was like, oh, you need to go to a doctor. I just took some Advil and slept for 2-3 weeks, and I was somewhat okay. I'm still, I do feel some side effects, like I'm still low energy at times, like just like at certain things I could tell is off, but at the same time, like, it is what it is, man. Like, I unfortunately, I think everyone will get it. It's like the chicken pox, right? Everyone will get it. And then until, I'm not sure how the vaccine's another thing, right? I think there are going to be people who don't want to take it because it's still new. And I understand that. I also understand that, like, they were thinking about doing it with the athletes, like them be the first testers. That could go wrong on so many levels, because predominantly most athletes in these countries are minorities. And then there's a whole stigma of like minorities being the first ones to be getting tested on, right? So there's a whole stigma.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So there is no winning battle here, right? Unfortunately, someone is going to have to take the vaccine, and do whatever. But according to them, the vaccine isn't like a live thing. So you're not really getting the actual virus itself. You might get symptoms. So you may get the symptoms of whatever, but at the same time, you got to find the people that will want to take it. And then even after that, some people like saying, hey man, it needs to be out longer before I take it. So I can't tell you to go take it. I can't tell you to do that. I'm not sure when I will get it, but I'm definitely looking at it, seeing what's happening. And depending on what I see the numbers being, then yes, I will think about definitely do I want that, right? But I'm not going to go out flat out and say I'm getting it, and I'm not going to go out and say I'm not getting it. I'm just going to wait, see how things are progressing, because I do believe they're giving it to a certain demographic, and from there we will then see. I think sometime next year, when more of the population has gotten it, or more of the different demographics has received it, and how I feel it's working, then you can make a better conscious decision.
Yeah. No, I think that's fair. I think, I talked to a guy the other day. We did a job in Montclair for just cleaning out this guy's house, and he was, him and his wife are probably in their 60s, and I was like talking to him a little bit, and he was just, we're joking around, and he's like, yeah, like, he's like, I have no problem taking it. I want to get his thoughts. He's like, I have no problem taking the vaccine. So I think there's gonna be people that feel either way about it, and yeah, I'll definitely, like, for me, yeah, I'll wait a little bit, see what news comes out from it. I mean, like, obviously, and I guess the good thing is, like, by an older person getting it first, like, I feel like I'll be more comfortable. If like an older person can take it, then I might feel like I can handle it myself. I know it's not, I know it can vary based on who gets it. And like for the virus, I know it can vary in terms of like what your symptoms are if you have underlying diseases. But if an older person, a group of older people are taking it and they're not, and they're feeling all right, then like that'll probably make me more comfortable to take it, because then it's like, okay, like they're 80 or 70 or whatever whatever their age is, and like they've been able to take it and not have a problem, then I'm like, oh yeah, like I have no problem. Like, I'm not one of those people who's like anti-vaccine, or like, even though, like, for example, I don't really get the flu shot. I got it once, and I've never had the flu. But I'm not like a person who takes a stance. I'm like, I don't know, like, yeah, bro, this is a conspiracy. Like, I'm not taking your vaccine. It's gonna put poison into my veins. It's like, no, like, so I'm willing to take this one for sure, because it's like, if this is what we have to do to like sort of move past it and get it and not be as contagious as a population or whatever, that I'm fine with that. And like, yeah, and I think it'll come, like, at least, like, not, I guess Johnson and Pfizer both say that they're, was it 95%? They're saying 90% effective or whatever. So at least
I think the shit is 90 something percent in terms of helping you when you have it. But I don't think any of the vaccines currently right now are able to prevent it. I think that's what people are waiting on, hopefully. But I mean, look, man, wear your mask as much as possible. So if you don't want to take the vaccine, then, you know, the least you can do is wear a mask.
Yeah.
Wash your hands. Like the simple, basic things that you can do. If you don't want to take the vaccine, I don't see why you just can't wear a mask, right? It's not, there's like, yeah, sometimes I might forget, but you know what I'll have a mask in my car. I'll have a mask in my pocket somewhere. Like I'll have I just have them everywhere just in case, like, I have something, right?
Oh yeah.
And then just wash your hands when you go home, or when you're, as much as you can, you go to the bathroom. Like just simple things. Like if you don't want to get a vaccine, cool by me, but you can't tell me you don't want to get the vaccine, then you don't want to wear a mask. And then, like, I've seen people recently, like, I go out and, like, I saw a guy the other day, like, went to the bathroom at Just Jake's, and he does his thing and just walks out, doesn't even wash his hands.
Yeah.
We're a food establishment, and you wonder how, like, these pathogens are coming alive.
It's
like,
because of the freaks.
Like
It's because of those fucking greasy people over there.
Exactly. So I'm more worried about that guy, you know, passing on the virus and doing things versus most other people, because you're not doing the basic thing, washing your hands. So that's basically my rant on that today. But
yeah, dude. I actually saw a video, and this is like the last thing I'll mention on COVID, but obviously you can see a lot of these like social justice warriors, and I say the quotations like this because they're just like people that film shit and like think they're like making a point. And there was like the video of this Paul Blart, like mall cop, coming up to three guys in I guess it was a mall. You can't really see the background that well, but it's somewhere in it's some kind of store. And he comes up to them. He's like, "You guys, I'm gonna ask you once to put your mask on. I'm gonna ask you a second time, and if you don't do it the third time, I'm gonna have to ask you to leave." And these guys are like filming him prior to when he gets off. He's on a Segway, of course, Paul Blart. You know what I'm saying? Like the typical, looks exactly like that mall cop. But you look around, and the one guy's filming to the left. He's got his mask on. The guy's like, "Oh, you're good, you're good." And the guy like who's filming, he's like, I'm I'm exercising my first right amendment to the fullest extent. And he's like, are you? He asked him like, is that a law like about the having masks on? He's like, no, it's a rule. He's like, what are you, like a rule maker? Like the back and forth between these guys. I was like, the fact that you're taking time to film this instead of just either getting out of the store or putting the mask on, I was like, these are the people that are definitely like screwing us in the long run. Cause I'm like, bro, just put a freaking mask on. Like, listen, like for you to like wait for the guy to come over and you have your phone ready and you're just like, and I'm like, what does that do, man? Like these losers are out there. I saw another video where this guy waited outside a supermarket and he was like, he found a guy who didn't put his cart back in the cart line and where everything's going together, and like filmed him, like called him out, like was out there for like 20 minutes, like arguing with the guy. I was like, bro, I do the same thing. Like I don't like, listen, if something, I'll put my cart away if it's close, but if it's a certain place like Costco or whatever, like where they have, like if I'm like a million miles away from it, like I'm gonna put it to the side. I'm not walking it back. This guy, we got like kids, they're like in their 20s, like, oh, you're not gonna do that, man? Like, sir, it's like these guys they're coming out of the woodwork. And I think at one point maybe we'll have like a segment where we like review like Instagram videos, and I'll try to do that where we have like have it in the corner of the screen and we can watch it and react. But like these people like that, I'm like, bro, what are you guys doing? Just relax, man. Just like, you guys are getting so angry. Like, just like you're in a store and you're just do what you got to do and get the hell out of here. Like there should be like, we have some of the most stubborn people, and we have great people, obviously. We have some of the best people, Trump, like the classic. But we have like these stubborn people that are just, I think they're the ones kind of screwing us in some ways, where they're just like I don't care, man. It's like, dude, you're taking away my freedom. You're taking away this. It's like, man, we're not. It's like, bro, just like I'm doing this. Listen, I don't believe that masks 100% are going to keep me safe in a supermarket, but I do it because it's like, number one, like everyone, like, listen, I'll make you feel safe. Number one, I'll care about, I'll be unselfish. I'll be like, listen, I'll put it on if it's going to make you like, that's what everyone does. I think in some ways they're afraid, but they also be like, okay, I'm going to do this. We're all in it together. I'm putting it on. Like, I'm going to, like, there's studies that say that at least if you have something on, it's going to stop a little bit of it from coming your way. So, just that, and just the fact that like, it just shouldn't be any type of thought. Like if you have like a claustrophobic problem, like, that's something that you need to deal with. Like if you can't, like, I mean, I even had that in the past, and like if I'm wearing a mask and I can do it, like I don't get this whole like just outrage. It's like, bro, just make it simple. I understand that people get angry at government trying to make people like scared, and they say that we're trying to fear monger. And like, listen, in some ways, is it over the top? I maybe, I don't know, but like then again, there's people that are dying. There's people that had it, and even though they got over it, they still could have underlying health issues from it. Like I know somebody who had they lost like 60% of their lung capacity, and he's my age, bigger guy, but like that's something. Like that's not good. Like so you can understand the fear, and I think that there's too many people that are either like pushing that they're trying to make us fear too much. I also do understand the point that maybe we should have more proactive advice, like the vitamin C, like talk about nutrients that you can either take or like be a little bit, if you can be a little more proactive. Like when I had a conversation with this gym owner in July, he was telling me that he was like really about vitamin C and about like building up your immune system, and like how he wished that they would have mentioned that more. And I think they could mention that more for sure. Like it's even, listen, nobody's getting anything completely right, but at the end of the day, you just got to be considerate to others. That's what it is. Just be considerate, be safe around your family. Don't do the stupid things. And I think that's why, I mean, for the most part, most people I know haven't really gotten it. Like obviously you weren't being unsafe. You got it. I mean, it's going to happen. My dad got it from somebody that had it at work. So yeah, you never know when it's going to pop up, but hopefully the vaccine shows promise and we just get moving. Cause I mean, obviously we're very bored. We're 9 months in, and I think I was ready to take like 6 or 7 months, like of like, I was like, okay, like I know it's gonna be a while, and I was kind of ready for that journey. Now we're getting antsy, but you always go on a vacation when there's nobody. Let's go to Montana, go fishing, go to get a lodge, a state that has no cases. If you want to do something, like do it in a place where it's very, a small amount of people. Just, I don't know, just find a way to entertain yourself. Because this is like, we're in it. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know when we're going to get out of it, but we're going to try to continue to bring funny content and entertaining content from our houses while we can before we get into one singular location and make the most of that. So I think that's what we're doing, and we're going to keep going forward on it.
Exactly. Totally agree.
Yeah, dude. So yeah, guys, if you guys could please like, comment, and subscribe to this. This is going to be our second video on YouTube. We're going to try to get back to posting more YouTube videos in the future. So thank you guys for listening. This has been episode number 18 of the podcast. We're going to be also having guests on at some point in the next couple of weeks. I'm still working some things out. Talking to a few rappers that I listen to and seeing if their schedule is open to get them on. Athletes as well. So we got a lot of stuff in the making, and thank you guys for taking the journey with us.
Thank you, guys.
All right, dude. I'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Shout out to myself, held it down in some real times. They was trying to rip me up my green like it's a peeled lime. Had a couple bad breaks, hit a steel grind, so I never stop. I'ma roll through like a guild sign. I've been so depressed, but I'ma tell my mama feel fine. Every day she wake up, go to work, and man, she still cry. Everything about to change when I get this deal signed. In the club, bottles popping, and we got them bills flying. Shout out K-Swiss, that's my dog, that's my real slime. Had a bad bitch, strike a pose when them heels shine. She was out of my league, and I wish that she was still mine. Every day I call her and she said, Ben, why you still try? I don't know, baby, I'm a bad boy like Puffy Combs. Everything is sour, nothing sweet like it was honeycombs. Rapping for a minute now, I think I got 100 flows. Trying to make this shit my life, that would be so wonderful. Rapping killing me, man, this shit bad for my health. I've been going up another notch like Titan in the bell. Staying true to myself while accumulating wealth. How am I supposed to profit when I'm sounding like everyone else? Yeah. Shit is not okay. I know that you listening, cause I got what you crave. Every day complain that your boyfriend been a lame. Nah, baby, it's not too late, you can still hop on my wave. Better follow me, cause I'm about to pay the way. Better hit me up before I get my number changed. You don't wanna miss out on this, that would be a shame. But right now it's not too late, you can still hop on my wave. Hey, you can still hop on my wave. Hey, you can still hop on my wave. You don't wanna miss out on this, that would be a shame. But right now it's not too late, you can still hop on my wave.
Wave gang, that's the shit I rap. Shit, I love it so much, I got it tatted on the flesh. Boy, I do it with finesse. A nigga so fly, I could pull up in a jet. Them niggas ain't fucking with me. Look, I'm always on the camera cause I'm something to see. Look, I was down bad, I was sunk in the sea. Now wait, and scallions and sound, man, I kept this shit 1,000. We come from public housing. Look, now we getting pub deals. How they ride the wave like a dolphin in a cell. I ain't cracking seals on no act, but I act up. My bitch bad, bro, and she got the fat butt. All natural, lips not macked up. Tatted up, tatted up. Shooting for the stars like Gallagher. I ain't with the chatting stuff. Who? Not me.
Yeah. Shit is not okay. I know that you listening, cause I got what you crave. Every day complain that your boyfriend been a lame. Nah, baby, it's not too late, you can still hop on my wave. Better follow me, cause I'm about to pay the way. Better hit me up before I get my number changed. You don't wanna miss out on this, that would be a shame. But right now it's not too late, you can still hop on my wave. Hey, you can still hop on my wave. Hey, you can still hop on my wave. You don't wanna miss out on this, that would be a shame. But right now it's not too late, you can still hop on